Hello, everybody. Welcome to the REDX podcast. I am so excited that you're here. We have Brendan Bartic, a returning guest with us. Welcome, Brendan.
Hey, thanks for having me back, Haley. I'm excited.
Of course, we're always happy to have you. You bring so much knowledge and expertise, so I'm excited to get into what we're talking about today. Before we do that, I do want to talk to the audience who are tuning in live with us today. Thanks for tuning in live. If you have any questions for Brendan as we're talking today, just feel free to chat them in wherever you're watching, and we'll make sure to get those answered. Of course, you can always subscribe to the podcast wherever you like to listen to podcasts, or if you want email updates, you can go to theredx.com/podcast and put your email in, and we will send you email updates. Okay, now that that's out of the way, Brendan, today we're talking about how to get 6 listings in 6 weeks, right? I'm so excited about this. Before we get into that, will you just give a brief introduction into who you are for people that might not know who you are?
Sure. Yeah. So Brendan Bartic, I've been in residential real estate for 20 plus years now. I've personally listed and sold over $1 billion of just listing sales. So I have a passion for listings. I was probably one of the first users of the REDX way back in the day, and it was one of the tools that helped me build my empire. So I love when I get to come on here because I can bring all this value back to everyone else, because I was sitting right where a lot of you are right now going, how am I going to take my first listing? And then, I consistently sold about 130, 135 listings every year for about 10 to 12 years straight there. And then built a real estate organization. I own a brokerage, title company, and a coaching company. And that's our passion now, is helping other agents, do what we've done, which is become net millionaires through real estate. And so excited to give as many, I call them fire nuggets is my new thing, how many nuggets of fire I can drop today to help people get to where they want to go.
I love it. Awesome. Well, welcome back to the show. We're excited to have you. Let's get started then. You are the expert in listings. You were telling me pre-show how well your team is doing with listings. Where should we get started today?
Yeah, let's start with, I guess, first of all, one of the breakthroughs that we've had, Haley, in the last 12 months is I went out and interviewed the top agents across the country, not only in my company of Keller Williams, but from everything, RE/MAX, Coldwell Banker. And I went out seeking the information of going, how can I get a higher commission rate, period, number one, and also how can we take more listings? Our team's commission rate on average was about 2.42% on the list side. And I knew there was people out there getting 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, even some of those higher, just on the list side, not both sides, right? And people are like, what about 6% or 7, whatever, right? Just what you're getting paid to help a seller. So I went on this quest to figure out how everyone was doing this, had tons of interviews, talked to all of these top producers. And what I found out was that the first step to having real listing success is you have to sell a program, not yourself. And that might sound kind of simple in its thought process, but I was always like, Haley, when I was selling, I was like, I got to sell myself. I'm the greatest. I'm the best.
Right.
Look at my resume. I'm faster, smarter, better, all of this stuff. And what we were leaving on the table was, again, when you make it about you and your resume, then they're paying for you, not the product you sell, which is your program or your services. So we went back to the drawing board. We went into a room with a bunch of whiteboards and we said, what are the challenges that, and I'll just speak frankly, what sucks about listing a home the traditional way? And so when we thought about this, we said, okay, what's horrible? Well, one-off showings. One-off showings is super annoying. Open houses, having random weirdos through your house, going through your drawers, super annoying. The time it takes, right? You're on the market for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 9 weeks if the strategy isn't done correct. So you're sitting here forever trying to keep a house clean. You got 6 kids, 4 dogs, all of that, a nightmare. Then we go, now, once you get under contract, then the buyer comes and beats you up over inspection because now they want all of this money for inspections. So we went to the board and we said, what if we could solve a lot of these problems and change the way traditional real estate was sold? Took all the information from interviewing all the top professionals all over the country and out of the country And what we found, Haley, is we came back with a lot of strategies from Australia, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. So in Australia, they have a very simple 1 hour to 2 hour showing window that they funnel all of their buyers through when they list a home. They don't do open houses. They don't do one-off showings. Kind of like an auction in a way, but it's not an auction because it's not like it's you're trying to start and create this bidding pricing type of thing like a regular auction. They just go, if you funnel everybody through into a coming soon process that's effective, then it's going to create social proof. It's going to create value. And so that concept really stuck with me. So we took a bit from that program, a bit from another program. And anyway, we created our selling program. And so what I want the listeners to know out there is this doesn't have to be overly complicated. When you create a program, you're just going, what is the strategy? And that's the reason I'm starting with this. What is the strategy that I use that makes me special to a certain degree to get your home sold? And the second thing I hope listeners want to know is, what problems am I going to solve for the seller? We narrowed ours down to 2 problems. One, days on market and all the inconveniences of listing a home. The second one was costly inspection items. So when we developed our program, and you can go to our website and see all this, it's called Sold in 65. So Sold in 65, we go, if we could create a 65-hour selling strategy that would help the program that would help sellers not have to deal with all this headache, protect the property with the highest level home warranty that you can possibly protect a home with, then could we charge more for our services? And the answer came back resoundingly yes. So since inception now, we've taken listing after listing at 3.5% minimum list side commission or higher, utilizing this process. And the reason, for those that are listening out there, some are like, well, I always do 2.5 or 3, and I hear all these limited beliefs. In Canada, you can't do more than 2.5. No one in Canada does. I'm like, no, there are, because I talked to people in Canada that are getting 4.5 on just the list side. So it's all these, because I used to have them too. I was like, that would never work here. You can't do that. Haley, what really was the opening, what blew our minds was, if we could get higher value and receive more for our benefits, we could either sell less houses and make the same money, right? Which is also nice, not have to work as much, or sell even more houses and make a lot more money, right? That difference in commission, just so everyone understands, if you're selling a $500,000 house, a 1% difference in commission is a third of the commission. So if a $500,000 house at 3% is $15,000, if you do it at 2%, it's $10,000. 1%, it's $5,000. Right? So this friends and family hookup. So Haley, I know you bought the house with me. Yeah, we can do it for 5%. Well, when you do it for 5%, you're still paying out the buy side commission. And then you're just eating it on the list side. So you're shaving a percentage off, which means you just took $5,000 and lit it on fire. Right? Now, when you're at 3.5%, you're even getting more, or you can go even higher than that. There's agents out there that are doing 5.5, 6.5 on just the list side. And then Haley, with all the drama that's been going out there with the NAR, you've been hearing all of these topics, right? The buyer agency. Well, what we also decided, we created a very customized net sheet. So now the buyer side compensation is optional. And I know some of the buyer agents out there are going to get all mad at me, right? But that's the way it should have been all along, right? According to why all these lawsuits are happening. I mean, again, RE/MAX just settled for $100 million or whatever it is. All of these people are going nuts because we were telling the sellers, you should have, or the conveyance is that some of the sellers felt like they were being misled, saying, you told me it was 6%. I didn't even know I was paying a buyer's agent. I didn't even know that was an option. So now all these lawsuits happened. So now when we present this information, our program to sell your home is 3.5%. And then Haley, you have the option of deciding how much additional buyer side compensation you would like to include. And in our beautiful net sheet, we have 3 options and a custom: 1%, 2%, 3%, or custom. So think about this, Haley. If you're sitting there and I'm selling your house, I'm sitting across from you, and I get to this, I go, so our services are 3.5%, and then I start talking to you about additional buyer side compensation. Immediately, you start thinking about buy side compensation. You're not thinking about my compensation. So we start having conversations. They're like, so what's the industry standard? What do you think we should offer, Brendan? And I'm like, well, let's take a look at what the other listings are offering, because I want you to, of course, be competitive. But where the people got in trouble is they said it was traditionally it's 3%. Traditionally, it's 2.8% that we offer out to the buyers, right? Or in our market, it's standard. Those are the words that were dangerous words that were being used by some of the companies and some of the agents in their training that the market felt was misleading, right? So anyway, if you're asking where to start, I go create a program that solves problems. Maybe in your program, another team I know, they take care of the staging. They're big on staging, right? So part of their program is they solve that problem of staging. I don't want a warehouse. I'm not in the staging game. I'm not a designer. That's not my deal, right? So that's not going to fit for my type of team, right? Or my type of organization. So you got to find that fit. And I think that's important. So you go whiteboard, what problems do I want to solve? What in my strategy am I going to solve? Then I put together a beautiful presentation that explains to the seller how I'm going to solve those. And now you have the ability to now go out and start prospecting for business because you have a strategy to sell, not your resume. Haley, we've got 21, 22-year-olds, and now I feel super old because now I have to call them kids, right? And it just hurts my soul. We got 21, 22-year-olds, never even worked with a buyer, and they haven't closed a buyer deal, out taking listings and sellers because they're not selling their resume, they're selling the strategy and program that our program delivers. So does that make sense? That was a lot.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I mean, I love the idea of finding something that like makes you special. I mean, it's marketing, right? It's finding your target audience, what they're going to want, what you can provide, and then making a program out of it. I think that makes it a lot easier and maybe less scary to get on the phone, because when you start prospecting, because then you actually have a plan, you know exactly how you're going to help them. That gives you confidence. You exude confidence on the phone, and then you'll land more listing appointments that way,
You're
right?
dead right. Yeah, Haley, it's so much easier to call an expired and say, I'd love to come over and explain to you Colorado's most innovative home selling program, sold in 65. Or I can call and say, I'd like to come over and talk to you about what I do to get homes sold, right?
Right.
So you're right. The word you used in there is marketing. Some people go, I mean, whether it's a gimmick, whether it's a hook, everything's a hook, right? Like I've got to have some reason why someone would want to come meet me. And if I don't have something that's special or different, then everyone else is calling and they're going, yeah, we can help you. We can help you. And then what's the next question you get? How many homes have you sold in my neighborhood? Right. Have you sold any luxury homes? Right. All of these questions that we get. And I go, we sell thousands of homes of every model and style, but I want to talk to you about our innovative program to get your home sold. Now, this is state of the art. We've been spending hours developing it, or thousands of hours developing it. Give me 15 minutes to come over. If you're not blown away, at least you'll leave with a few more ideas and you can do whatever you want. Does today at 4 work, or does tomorrow at 1 o'clock better? Right? You're right. It gives people power. So sometimes people go, hey, just jump on the phone and try to set a listing appointment. Well, if my product sucks, why am I going to get on the phone and get excited to make calls? I don't have anything to sell, right? And that's why we find the barrier to entry for a lot of people so difficult on going listing based when they're a newer agent, because they feel like this limited belief. I don't have a resume. How could I possibly go sit in front of $1 million seller and get them to trust me to sell their home? Well, again, I could train you to sell I could train you to sell a $10,000 purse, right? What's the difference between selling a $10,000 purse and a $500 purse? The only thing that is one of those products has a much better presentation. They're going to talk about where the purse was hand stitched. And what do they also do? There's limited availability, right? They take the same thing. The thing was made right down the street from the factory that made the $500 purse, but you're paying $10,000 for it because that person had a better presentation and they knew more and more confident about their product. And I think you want to take 6 listings in 6 weeks, create a product that sells, or attach yourself to a company that has a powerful product, know your product inside and out, And then you can start to hit the phones, hit the door knocking, hit the marketing, hit the billboards, we're doing radio ads, all of these things. You can create the whole funnel. But if your presentation or your product is just like everyone else, it's going to be hard. You're going to get exhausted from. I talked to a young gentleman, 25-year-old the other day, super smart, really on top of it, sharp dressed, looked apart, was at another company. And he goes, I've been on 14 listing appointments this year and I've taken one. And he goes, I'm pretty sure it's because of my age. And I said, let me talk to me. Show me your listing presentation, right? Showed me his listing presentation. Whew. I mean, and this guy was on it. He was smart. But again, he could have been the smartest, most well-presented person on earth. Your strategy doesn't make any sense. Why would I trust you? Right? Listings are all about trust. If that seller doesn't trust me and doesn't believe that I can take them to the promised land or zero to hero, or I'm going to take away their pain. No one wakes up, Haley, and goes, you know what I really want to do today? I want to sell my house. That sounds like a super fun project. It's the suckiest part of the whole deal. Buying a house is kind of fun, right? You get to go look and you're excited. You're going to have a home and all of these things. But selling, it costs money. It's inconvenient, all of those things. If I can come in and go, let me spare you all of this pain and show you how to get there, they feel so much better and so much well connected. And then the last piece of that presentation is we had to think about when I'm sitting in front of you at your dining room table or wherever I might be in our presentation, I had to think through verbiage. And we know that words have power. So instead of, okay, great, now Haley, I need you to sign our listing agreement or our listing contract. First of all, we teach in our world, never use the word contract ever. Right? It's a scary word.
Yes.
An agreement, right? An agreement. That's all. I just have this nice little soft agreement for you to take a look at, right? So in our words, once we go through our process and we have a very systematic, here in Colorado, we train Sold in 65 once a month. It's a full day session. We open it up to all companies to come and check it out because I want everybody to have success. We see people come and then they try to piecemeal it together, right? Everything was designed to connect. Right? It has to be a process. But in our process, we realized that words had so much power. In our presentation, we said, look, instead of calling it listing agreement or contracts, we go, what if we just onboarded you, Haley, into our program? So at the end of this presentation, I go, great. So Haley, all I need is a signature and a key so we can onboard you into the Sold in 65 program. So again, I just need a signature right here and a key for the front door. Think it's a slight nuance, and I hope the listeners understand that. I'm onboarding you onto a program, not you need to sign a scary listing contract, right? I don't mind I want to get onboarded into the new gym or the new whatever.
I want to be part of the club.
I didn't come up with this. I got this from another top producer, and I was like, gosh, it's so good, so smooth, and it just helps the seller understand. We're just trying to remove as much scariness as possible. As I've told everyone, our net sheets are cute and warm and fuzzy. Our onboarding agreements are cute and fuzzy. Everything about this, we don't have people sign a full listing agreement at the table because it's written in lawyer jargon. And here in Colorado, it's like 45 pages long and it's a nightmare. We have them sign an agreement to onboard into our program. Then our virtual assistants and our listing team emails them all the necessary documents with Q&A on what each thing is, because they still have to sign Colorado state documents because they're required by the law or whatever. But I leave that appointment with a key in the lockbox, a handshake, $15,000, $20,000 in the bank. Right. Or if I don't screw it up. Right. So that was a lot, but we could talk scripts all day, and I do want to share some scripts here and some objection handlers that we've been tweaking and playing around with. But I really wanted to drive home that make sure, like this poor gentleman, he was out there, you're going on 14 appointments, taking one. It's not you, it's your product.
I like that. I also like that it is very good for no matter who you're calling, whether it's like an expired listing, who probably had an agent who didn't have as great of a product as you can. So it's easy to beat out competition that way. Also for a for sale by owner who sees how much goes into the process, and how much you can take off of their load.
Yeah.
So I think about all of these scenarios of people that you're going to be calling and how this positions you just perfectly to be the expert and to take the listing. So I
Well, and
love that.
Haley, the for sale by owners on the phone going, how much you charge for commission? Our service is 3.5%. Right? We're not saying 6. We're not saying, whatever it is in your area, 5.8. I mean, it's different across the country, but for a long time, we used to have a commission strategy that was 4.5% if we sell it in-house, 5% if you buy the next home from us, or 6% if neither of those two things happen. And we were leaving so much money on the table. And when you leave money on the table, it affects two things. You don't make more money, number one, but you also can't provide a better level of service. I wanted our sellers to have exceptional selling experience. So now in that 3.5, we're still making a lot more than we were before, but we can provide more value to them as well, which makes the entire experience better. Now they look at it and decide what they want to offer to the buyer side compensation. And we help guide them through that, right? We want to see all of our wonderful buyer agents out there get paid, but we have to make sure we understand that it's the seller's decision to offer whatever they want. But when I'm working with a seller, I care about making sure I can make them successful and the money I need to do that, and that my family can eat, right? If they don't want to provide a high level of compensation to the buyers, then what'll happen is either the buyers won't show it and then they'll increase it later, or the buyer agent can negotiate that in when they go to make their offer. And Haley, this is a very sensitive subject right now. People are
Yeah.
My wife is an agent, and she hates the fact that people are now having the chance or opportunity to put zero buyer side compensation in the MLS, because she loves working with buyers, enjoys the process, and she's like, now I've got to go here and make this uncomfortable conversation with my buyer and go, hey, look, if we want to look at this house, you're actually going to have to pay for my commission because they're not offering compensation.
Right.
And then who really suffers, Haley, is the VA buyers or the CHAFA buyers.
Yeah.
Because if I have a buyer agency with you, so this whole industry is going to start to change. Another reason to be a listing agent, by the way, right? I mean, if you have the choice, but becoming a buyer agent is going to become more and more challenging as this progresses. But people will innovate and figure out ways to hopefully make it all work as well.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right. So 6 listings in 6 weeks. First thing, have a program you can sell. Okay. Second thing, the REDX, or of course, the next thing is have a list of people to call, right? We got to have the right list with the right data in the right system with the right triggers and the right follow-ups and the right workflows. I just taught a class earlier today called Market Your Way to Millions. We have a 46 touch program for every single person that we put in our database. What I find challenging, Haley, is people use the REDX data and they hope to gosh, they're going to hit a home run with every call.
Yep.
They go, I swung, tomorrow I'll swing again. And then the people that are in there, we know that I think it's something like 82% of all expireds are going to relist in the first 60 days.
Right.
Some of them then take 90 and all these things. So it's like, again, they might not be ready day 1, but they might be ready day 18. So you've got to make sure if you're going to play this game, you've got the nurture system set up to do that. So now you got your list, and REDX does it better than anyone. Then number 3, the next piece we have to have is our scripts and our dialogues. We have to know what to say, how to say it, and to be powerful enough to be able to set appointments all the time. And regardless if you're calling expireds for sell by owners or your past clients, your center of influence, I watch people call their center of influence, and it astonishes me, which is one of the scripts I wanted to talk about today, how they're not getting any business from their people that know them, like them, and already have done business with them. So we're going to talk about that script today. And then the last piece is where I also see people falling down is they're not doing a pre-appointment process well enough. Haley, what I try to teach in our systems is we know that the house can't sign an agreement, right? I almost said contract. The house can't sign an agreement. People spend all this time researching the house, doing CMAs. Research the seller, right? Go on LinkedIn, go on Indeed, LinkedIn, go on their social media, Instagram. Find out who this person is that you're going to meet with. They're the ones that are going to sign the agreement. It's important to get your numbers and your CMA and all this. I want to know if they're an accountant. I want to know if they're a school teacher. I want to know if they have 4 kids. I want to know if they're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I'm like, oh, I love the Steelers. I don't love the Steelers, but oh my gosh, yeah, and your quarterback is in jail. I don't know, whatever it might be, right? No, just kidding. That was a Roethlisberger joke. But anywho, so, whatever it is, so I can build rapport. I find people aren't researching the seller, right? So if you want to take 6 listings in 6 weeks, get your process, get your sellers, and do all this. With the time we have allotted, then as far as the scripting goes, or the conversations, if you want to take more listings in this last quarter than ever in your entire life, all I want you to do is call your database today, anyone that's in your database system. And there's 2 techniques I want to talk about. Number 1 is I want you, first of all, to go to Zillow. I know what you think about Zillow. Go to their houses, that if they own a home, go to their address. I want you to take a picture of their Zestimate with your phone. Okay. So their Zestimate says their house is worth $679,000. I want you to text that to them with this question. Hey, Zillow is saying that your house is worth $679,000. Do you feel that's accurate? ? You will get so many responses. They'll be like, no, my house is worth way more than that. What are you talking about? That's crazy. Or they'll go, man, if I could get that much, I would sell today. Or whatever they're going to respond back to. Now you jump on a phone call and you go, yeah, I thought that was interesting too. I was just thinking about you and Sally the other day. I've got a lot of buyers still for your neighborhood in Highlands Ranch. If you guys were to move, where would you go next? And when would that be? And it's a simple conversation. I ask people this all the time, Haley. In your database, how many people right now do you know of their current status of when they're going to sell? Right? That should be your number 1 indicator, right?
Yeah.
Single database. So I love that Zillow play. The second technique I want to get out to you, it's called Make Me Pack. So just like how Zillow had Make Me Move, so you text or call and go, hey, I was just thinking about you today. We're seeing crazy offers out there right now, Haley. What's the number that you would need to have that would make you pack up this week and move out of your house? It's fire. They're going to be like, I don't know. I never thought. I guess 700. It'd have to be something pretty crazy. Well, that's awesome. Okay, so 700. So let's say you were to get that number. If you guys were to move, where would you go next? And when would that be? Update status right now. Yes.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, whatever it is. So I hope those are 2 nuggets that you can, that Zillow one, you'll set more listing appointments from that Zillow text than anything in your entire life. But make sure, and I hate promoting Zillow, but it's not promoting, it's kind of using it to be like, they're crazy and the number is whatever.
Right.
Lastly, real quick, Haley. So 2 things that me and you talked about. If you want our entire script book, it is downloadable at brendanbartic.com. So you just go to Brendan, it's just my name, BRENDANBARTIC.com. Free download. It has our 50 sales conversations, every single thing that you would need to be able to have success with that. And these are the scripts that we use on our team every single day. We're closing about 50 homes a month, every month in our organization. So we put together this entire script book that has everything in here for sell by owners, just listed, just sold, absentee owners, seller nurtures, some of the things that you might not think about that are needed for a script, inbound seller leads, you name it. That entire book covers everything you could possibly think about. So for free. Pro tip is I would print it, put it into a 3-ring binder and keep it with you, right? That's where this osmosis kind of starts to happen, right? Get that out in front of you and all of that. And then the last thing is we've started a new coaching program called Pulse. Productivity ultimately leads to success every day. So Pulse is 1 hour a week with myself, giving you the top coaching strategies, systems, tools, techniques with massive high levels of accountability. We have our own number analyzer. We know exactly the formula of what every agent needs to be doing to make a consistent 6 to 7 figure income. And I say that right now, I don't know if you know this, Haley, the average agent makes $61,000 a year in the nation. For 61 grand, you should go work at Walmart, right? like that's what you're trying to do. All this work, all this stress, people screaming at you all the time, make 61,000. No, So when we say 6-figure, right, we're talking 500, 700, 900, or we have a lot of our clients that get into the millions. So it's high accountability. You'll leave every session with what we call the Pulse Power Play. It's an actionable item that you can implement into your business in one of 6 categories to make sure you become an elite real estate professional. So the easiest way to sign up, and I'll put information, just go to our Facebook group, Brendan Bartic Real Estate Coaching. It's all in there. I'll share it with you, Haley, as well as, because I don't know how you get things out to people, but basically I'll just give you a sneak peek, or you can just scan the QR code if you're joining us on YouTube or live on the stream right now. So again, first session's free, so there's no cost involved. Other than that, after you decide it's the right fit, $99 a month for you to add 14, 15, 20 more deals a year. The progress we've seen with this already because we already have 150 people in it, has been phenomenal. So those are my only plugs. Thank you for allowing me to have them. And I know we're unfortunately out of time.
Oh man, that 30 minutes went by fast, didn't it?
We're gone.
Always does. Thank you so much, Brendan. We will have all that information in the show notes below. So if you missed anything, or if you're listening to this podcast, we'll make sure that you get all of that information that Brendan just shared. Thank you so much. I took a full page of notes. This has been amazing. Thank you so much. You always bring so much value for our agents, so I really appreciate it. I also loved the Zestimate thing. I thought that I haven't heard that before, so I thought that was awesome. I hope that our listeners take advantage of the things that you taught us today, Brendan. Thank you so much. For everyone that tuned in live, thanks for coming. And for those that are listening to this afterwards, thanks for listening to the podcast. We love bringing on experts in the space to be able to help you in your business, to take more listings and to be more successful than you ever have been, especially as we get to the end of 2023 and looking to 2024. So anyway, thank you again, Brendan. Thanks everyone for coming and watching. We will see everybody same time, same place next week on Thursday, and we hope you have a great rest of your week.